As your feet hit the cobblestone, you enter a dark crypt, walls lined with ossuaries and crypt vaults, many coffins lining the rows, dimly flickering torch sconces line every inch, but not one of them gives off warmth. You step slowly into the dilapidated room, and I need a constitution saving throw as you are overwhelmed by intense pain.
Oh shit, okay. I got a 9.
You fall to the ground as your hips dislocate and your legs remain where your feet were planted. You now have no legs.
Wait a minute. What? I've never heard of that spell. What source book is that in?
Oh, it's homebrew.
A homebrew. What?
Yeah. Yeah, you had to succeed 13 or higher con save or else your legs fall off.
Oh my god, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard. What's this spell called?
Legs fall off.
Because of course it is. Hi, I'm Tyson.
And I'm Mike. And we argue with dragons.
Hey, listeners. This is Arguing with Dragons, a podcast for nerds created by a pair of middle-aged geeks who love their hobbies. This season, we are covering role-playing games and our never-ending fascination with them. So what is our topic today, Mike?
Homebrew. Served up hot, room temperature, and sometimes cold.
Oh, cold coffee.
Hey, iced coffee is kind of nice. Hey, have you been to the new place that opened up in Burlington?
7 Brew.
Yeah.
So listeners, we got our first 7 Brew. And if you're from a big city, you're probably already familiar with how awesome it is. But these people built this building in like less than 2 weeks and
Oh, no. The construction was going on for well over a month.
Well, the foundation, yes. But when they brought the building in, it literally came pre-assembled in 4 pieces and it went up in less than a week.
Oh, shit. I didn't see that.
I work very close to where the building was going up and we got to watch it basically step by step. And they've been giving out free coffee all like for the last 2 weeks. It's been great.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wonder where all that coffee comes from if they're able to just give it out for free. I mean, I suspect mob connections.
Well, I had that conversation with my wife in the car today. We were driving by at 9:57 a.m. this morning, and they were starting at 10 o'clock. So we got in line. We were like the 10th car. And I said, how are they going to afford this? And then I got to thinking, everything they're giving away is small. So it's not that much of beverage. They loaded our cups with so much ice that you can hardly get the straw in. So right there, they're taking up more space. But the fact that there was a feeding frenzy of vehicles in this drive-through line, and all of them are going to be hooked before this place is even officially open. They're going to clean up, man.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Now, granted, I did notice that they kind of stole the 2-lane drive-through from Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Chick-fil-A of iced beverages.
Seems like it. I mean, granted, when I did have it, I had what is called a Smooth 7. It's a regular coffee with breve, white chocolate, and Irish cream in it. It was fucking delicious, first of all, but
I had a hazelnut mocha when they did their first drop, and that was, it tasted like you were drinking chocolate milk with a little hazelnut and a tiniest hint of coffee.
Yeah.
And I hate cold coffee, but I drink that and probably promptly get diabetes.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that also gets me about the place, they're operating a building that's about the size of a toll booth, and they had about 40 employees running around it.
I imagine most of them are just there for the opening, but there were lots and lots of employees. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, these people are just throwing money at the wall. But
again,
I'm here for it.
Mob connections, dude.
I'm here for it though, because I see too many businesses who try to run their operation with, just a handful of people or less. And it The Dollar General method, the Hy-Vee method, where let's have as few employees working as possible on a shift. Yeah, it may make somebody a bunch of money, but it's not a good work environment. And it's not a good place to shop because you can never find anybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, just looking up a little bit here, Seven Brew Coffee is an American chain of drive-through only coffee houses founded in Rogers, Arkansas, 2017, but it has expanded and is now present throughout the entire United States.
Nice. Well,
9 years the place has been going, and well, let's see. Let me just check real quick. All right, Seven Brew has surged to over 1.2 billion with a B in annual system sales.
ooh,
Since 2017, the company itself generated over 113 million in corporate revenues and 45 million net income in recent reporting. Corporate valuation shows it at 713 million in funding from key private equity investors like Franchise Equity Partners, Interplay Ventures, and Maestro Equity Partners. The single Seven Brew location generates an average unit volume of around 2 to 2.7 million annually. Investment in the franchise, building and opening a Seven Brew franchise costs between 887 and 2.1 mil. In return, mature, well-run shops can yield owner earnings roughly 327 and 354 annually.
well,
So that is not bad.
and for us little folks out there who care more about how a company treats their employees versus how much their head ups make, locally in Iowa, the average barista for a Seven Brew, including Des Moines and Urbandale areas, ranges between $15 to $18 per hour. Their typical base pay is 11 to 16. However, all tips are pooled together for all employees, giving a $16 to $25 an hour rate, depending on.
And you lost me.
I lost you how?
Well, tip pooling, no. No, I'm not okay with that. I mean,
I am. And if you have to tip, that's the only way you should tip. I'm,
well,
I,
I am not on board with it, considering, the person who just sits on their phone the whole shift and does absolutely nothing unless they are forced to, versus the employee who is gunning for first place in the employee Olympics, both getting the same cut of tips. No, thank you.
no, I don't think that's going to happen in an establishment that small. There,
No,
for
probably
one,
not.
I
But
don't think there was a single place to sit in that entire building.
well, there isn't a building; it's drive-through only.
Exactly. Well, it is a building. I mean, they got to make the coffee somewhere. But
Well, it's hardly a building; it's a shed.
anyway, in a state where minimum wage is only 7.25 an hour, 11 to $16 per hour is still pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Uh,
It is.
Especially for a barista place. So kudos, Seven Brew, for taking care of your people. Now, if you can just adopt the European model of not tipping and actually paying living wages, I mean, that'd be great. But we'll
Yes,
take
wouldn't
what
that
we
be
can get.
nice?
Take what we can get. Small wins. All right, Mike, we're going to talk about homebrew today.
Yes, we are.
And, this is going to be one of those Dungeons and Dragons, probably, and tabletop RPG focused topics, because homebrew is something that's near and dear to my heart. Because when you play an RPG game with a group, you usually have two different types of DMs. You generally have a DM who only plays modules, and then you have a GM that only homebrews. And it's like, and usually they're still best friends, but the styles are so very different. The module GMs are generally, they homebrew more than you think, because a lot of times they're like, well, I don't want to go to the trouble of building my own world, which is fine. But then when they run their module, they usually change numerous things about it. Modify encounters, change names, change locations of things, and that's kind of homebrewing too, in my eyes. But what we're going to really focus today on is creation of customized, unique content, because this is where these kind of games are awesome. You can pick up Skyrim and you can download mods, but somebody else made those, so you're constrained. Unless you know how to code, you can't make your own mods.
Actually, Skyrim has a creation kit, which makes modding a lot easier than having to write all the scripting and all the codes and all that. Granted, the better mods are going to have a touch of both the creation kit as well as personal coding. So, yeah, you do need some knowledge to make a quality mod. However, there are templates you can use.
Well, in a lot of video games, a lot of RPGs, you're just kind of locked into the way they want you to do things.
Absolutely.
But in Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and all of the tabletop RPG world, anything goes.
Yeah.
And when that comes up, folks, it leads to some absolutely wild outcomes. So that's what we're going to cover today. Mike
Yes,
and I
indeed.
have searched out the wide internet for a while and come up with some really interesting, funny stories.
And
Now,
if by wild internet, you mean mostly Reddit.
yeah, Reddit's my favorite place on earth. It's terrible. It's a terrible shithole of the internet, folks, but it's very interesting.
It's a
So,
terrible, wonderful place. That's correct.
so Mike, before we get into this, let's do a little bit of a lore dump.
Okay.
So tell me about your first experience with homebrew,
My first experience with homebrew.
like your real,
Well,
where you really knew you were dealing with it.
okay. Well, a couple of games that I was in, I want to say I was probably 17, 18 ish.
Mhm.
One of the games I was playing, the DM, real nice guy, kind of punishing as a DM goes, but we were playing 3.0, so it was a little less player forward, if you will. But he had created a magical item. It was a sword. I'm a little fuzzy on the details as it was shit almost 20 fucking years ago. God damn, I'm old. But but yeah, it was a sword that every time you swing it, it would create a miniature whirlwind or tornado of some kind. And the target of your attack had to roll to save against it. And if they failed, they were unable to act until the end of your next turn. Kind of say, I can't remember again, fuzzy on the
Ooh,
detail.
taking away a whole turn. Oh my gosh.
It was a little overpowered, but I mean, like I said, he was a little punishing towards the players in other ways. So balanced it in other ways.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting.
We ended up four of the players had to reroll characters. Four out of the five of them had to reroll characters more than once during the campaign.
Oh man. So a homebrew weapon was your
Yeah.
first experience. Okay. So
Yeah.
I had the same similar first experience of this. I played with a gentleman about my own age, and this was in early high school. And he had a sword on one of his characters that was given to him by another GM because he just kind of imported his characters over. And then we were playing second edition, like a hybrid of first and second edition D&D. So we're talking old school. And he called it the Atma weapon. And I'm assuming that it was probably stolen from some game or something that he liked. But it was a hilt of a sword that would only expose itself when he was in mortal danger. So it was kind of like an energy sword, like a lightsaber, only with an actual hilt that looked more like a blade. And it also had a personality, and it would talk shit to him, and it would be really eccentric. And I thought that was neat. And I was just like, whoa, it kind of opened my eyes to we can do anything we want in this game because I was very by the book. Magical items had to be by the book. I rolled on treasure tables, everything. So that was like my first eye opening. Ooh, maybe I could start crafting my own stuff. That
Yeah. I mean, where's the fun in just following rules on a game where you can do literally anything?
well, with our characters, we literally did everything. But like as a GM, I was like, I didn't know how to handle that homebrew weapons and all that yet. But I was inexperienced. I was like 15 years old, 14 years old. And now at my own age, at my old age, I have, crafted entire worlds, created new spells, created a ton of new monsters, some, just reskinned and some completely done from scratch. I've numerous magical items have been created in my in this last campaign world. And I started, I remember back then, I was obsessed with this idea of having a wizard class that could use a single spell called draw. And I took this straight out of Final Fantasy VIII because one of the primary ways you gained magical abilities in Final Fantasy VIII was you used draw on a monster and you absorbed some of its magical essence, and then you got like charges of spells. And I thought that was a fascinating idea for D&D. Like, you've got your wizards with your spell slots that learn spells through books and all that, but what if you could actually rip the magical essence out of a monster and then use it against them? And then what would stop you from it just being monsters? Couldn't you do it to like a giant bonfire and pull out a charge of some kind of fire magic, like a produce flame or a fire bolt or something like that?
Right.
And
So
then I
kind of like Diet Blue Mage.
kinda. And then also I was obsessed with this idea of having the magic be able to circle around them in little spheres. And I called it the orbital, and it was really dumb. And I remember my first attempt at playtesting it went really, really bad. And of course I didn't know what I was doing. I was young. But things have changed. My understanding of the game is much more deep, and I have been working diligently on a new class that we'll touch on later.
Yeah.
Mike, tell us some of your stories that you found. What's some of the best homebrew you found?
Some of the best homebrews that I've found. Well, you know what? I got a list of 10 of them. I'll just start at the top.
All right, let's hear it.
All right. First one is a spell called Echo Step. This kind of draws from the Echo Knight book or class a little bit. You leave behind an ethereal after image each time you move. It's a concentration spell, so it's not just at will, But once on each of your turns, you may teleport to any of the after images you've left behind during the spell. Whenever you teleport this way, the after image disappears. It's fun because it would encourage planned movement, good for rogues. I think Blade Singers would have good utility with that, possibly even Eldritch Knights. It's good and powerful, but it would not act as a replacement for Misty Step.
You know, the Blade Singer's gone in 5.5e, right?
Well, that's unfortunate because Blade Singers are awesome.
I know I tried to play one once in a one shot of yours and you told me no.
I did.
All right. So, what level spell is this?
It's a second level conjuration.
Oh, see, I think that's too powerful for a second level spell. I
Mm.
mean, maybe it's not. I guess Misty Step is a second level spell, right?
Yes, it is.
So, what would the benefit of this be over Misty Step or Vortex Warp or whatever teleportation spells you can get at second level? Because I think Vortex Warp is also a second level spell.
I'm not sure. I haven't really read Vortex Warp, but basically the utility I can see is you and another player are combating one of multiple enemies on the field. You leave an after image there, move to another one, and help deal it down, or run to the aid of one of your other party members. Say your rogue is down to death saving throws, you rush over to heal him a little bit, and then you can just warp right back.
Okay, so let's compare Vortex Warp. You magically twist space around another creature you can see within range. The target must succeed a Constitution saving throw, or the target is teleported to another. Okay, so that's against somebody else. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're casting that against somebody else. That's a
Yeah.
strict save in.
Like I said, this is kind of taken directly from the Echo Knight.
Yeah. Oh
So
no, I agree. I like the Echo Knight class. I was
yeah,
very
yeah, it seems very interesting. Haven't had an opportunity to play one yet, but
I was very against that class as the idea of it being too powerful or being kind of silly the way it's created. But I'm gonna use one in a one shot because I have an interesting
who's
idea.
going to use one?
I'm going to use one as a one shot, a character available for you guys to play in a one shot.
I've already called.
Yeah, you called it, so you're going to get a chance to play one.
Yeah, exactly.
So Misty Step, you're briefly surrounded by silver mist, and you can teleport up to 30 feet into an unoccupied space you can see. So when you use this, when you use that homebrew spell, you can teleport to any of them
Yeah.
and it continue like you can go from one to the other, or is it just from one to one of them and then they all disappear?
The way it's worded, it just says you can teleport to any after image. Whenever you teleport this way, the after image disappears. So the way
So
it's worded just kind of
leave like a
implies
little
that the one you use is no longer usable.
okay. So that makes a little sense. So while you're concentrating on it, you
Yeah.
could bounce back and forth.
Well,
Uh,
not back and forth, but
well, no, you could bounce between your after images if you have like three of them per se. How many does it allow you to generate?
it says each time you move.
Oh, that'd be a lot. If you ran 30 feet, how many after images are you generating there? Six? I mean, that's kind of weird. So that spell sounds like it needs just a little bit more specific like
A bit of tweaking, sure, but
no,
more for wording than anything.
yeah, and I think that's a neat spell. I like that. We're gonna put a pin in that one for later. All right, what else you
Yeah.
find, Mike?
All right. Next up is a weapon called the Lantern Blade.
Okay.
The steel blade etched with silver channels that glow with a warm light. It is a +1 weapon. It emits bright light in a 20-foot radius, and when you hit an invisible creature, it sheds faint light from itself until the end of your next turn and cannot benefit from being invisible.
Ooh.
Then, once per long rest, you may cast daylight centered on the sword at no cost.
Okay, so it's made specifically for taking out invisible creatures.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. So very situational, very what would be the word cinematic to see the blade pulled and glowing with light. Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
let's give these tier ratings, Mike. That last spell,
Okay.
word, I think definitely a Wyvern tier spell. It'd be Dragon tier if it had just a more concise. Uh,
Yeah, if it was a little more specific on how it works, it would be a little higher. I'll give you that. But I would agree with you. Wyvern tier is about right.
all right. So, and the sword, what was that tier that we came up with between them?
I can't remember.
Oh man, I gotta remember
I'm
that.
surprised you didn't write that down.
well,
You're usually so organized. Everybody point and laugh.
I know. I have disgraced my family.
You must be so embarrassed.
I like the idea of a lantern sword. That's neat, but I'm gonna goblin tier that because it's very situational. Very
Well,
situational.
I mean, it emits a warm light, so it could also function as a torch. So it does have some other utilities.
Yeah, but
Plus, I mean, when you are carrying an actual torch, you need to spend an action to drop the torch and pull your actual weapon. In
uh,
this case, best of both worlds.
my fighter just throws the torch at people.
Well, yes, but
oh, God bless your heart, Rex. Still, I think it's too situational. I think it's a neat idea. It's a cool weapon, but I'm just going to goblin tier it because I think, I think a lighted weapon is probably more common than you think.
yeah, well, sure. But even so, you're making me wonder whether or not we should redo the tier system that we've patented.
well, we'll work on it. All right, what's
Yeah.
next?
All right. Next up is a subclass for
Oh,
fighters.
okay. All right, this is going
Yeah.
to be a good.
The Vanguard subclass.
All right.
Fighter focused on controlling space rather than maximizing damage.
Okay.
The poster included some class specifics. Level 3, you gain an intercept ability. When an enemy moves within your reach, you may move 10 feet without provoking opportunity attacks.
Highly mobile. Okay.
Yep. At level 7, hold the line. Enemies provoke opportunity attacks even if they disengage.
Oh, watch out, rogues.
Little powerful on that, I
You just
think.
yeah,
But
that just completely fucked over one of the most iconic rogue abilities.
I don't know if I'd use the word iconic in general, but
Okay.
level 10, you get Bulwark. Adjacent allies gain +1 AC.
Okay. Not too bad.
So just kind of a reimagining of pack tactics.
Opposite
Level
of it, kinda.
15. Sorry.
It's kind of the opposite of pack tactics. So instead of advantage on attack, it's advantage on defense, kind of. Okay.
Basically, yeah. But level 15, you get an ability called Anchor, where large or smaller creatures you hit have their speed reduced to 0 until the beginning of your next turn, once per turn.
Ooh. Take away movement. Okay.
Yeah, larger, smaller creatures, but
Well,
by the time you hit level 15, gargantuan creatures seem like they are going to be a little more common.
you'd think, but you never know. Usually the
Yeah,
BEG is just some guy.
huge, colossal, and gargantuan are kind of staples considering dragons. But yeah, the BDEG more often than not is the vizier
At level
because the vizier is always evil.
at level 15, I would think it might be more advantageous for
Mhm.
that character to be able to anchor large and giant creatures as well. Just not necessarily for extended periods of time, but until their next turn,
Yep.
and only be able to do it maybe once per short rest instead of once per turn. So, like, you could even caveat that to large, like creatures your size or smaller once per turn, creatures large to gargantuan once per short rest, or once until you take a short or long rest. And then that way, I think it'd feel a little more epic for them to be able to anchor down a huge creature. All right, but continue. What's the next one? What's their capstone? Because it should be the
Capstone is at 18, actually.
most subclasses I found in my research and my creation of my latest class are level 18 capstones for the subclass. So,
Yep. Indeed, sir. This one is Living Fortress. You may excuse me. You may take one attack each round intended for an adjacent ally.
doesn't there a feat that does that already?
Sentinel, I believe, is what it is.
So its capstone feat, its capstone ability is just a feat.
Pretty much.
Well, that's a fucking disappointing.
A bit of a disappointment, yes, but overall, the rest of it is kind of nice. But again, this was generated by a Reddit user, so
Oh, that's okay. All right, we're gonna pause.
username Cheesy Pants.
It checks out. All right, Mike, what's next?
Next up is a new spell called Shared Burden.
Shared burden. Okay, let's hear it.
Yes, a level 3 abjuration. You choose two willing creatures. Whenever one takes damage, the damage is divided evenly between them. Concentration spell lasts for 1 minute. Excellent for tank and wizard, paladin and cleric, and bodyguard NPCs.
Oh, so it's kind of like a shared damage. And second level, you said?
Third level
Third
abjuration.
level. Okay. Third level. I like
Yeah.
that. That's an interesting spell.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I could see it being like you hit them and some of the damage just like you see the energy bounce over to the other person. That's kind of neat.
Yes,
Gives me an idea for
indeed.
something. Put a pin in that one too for me, Mike.
Pitting.
All right. What's next? Before we go on to what's next. So the class that we talked about, I'd say that's a goblin tier because it's so disappointing at its capstone.
Yeah, I mean, I would
It was
even go so far as to call it trash mob just because of that
it was
capstone.
it was going really good. Like I was into that idea for
Yeah,
that subclass until that capstone. And then I'm like, oh, like I would
I mean
expect
that's
something.
already a thing. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know, I know. It's just
And
disappointing.
I
Yeah.
mean, once per turn underpowers it too. So
And your spell, I would definitely that's Wyvern tier. I think that's an interesting, well thought out spell that is not too powerful. And I would almost say that that should maybe be a second, not a third level spell
I mean, it seems a little strong for a second level spell, to be honest.
to be able to. Well, you're just mitigating damage between players.
Well, yeah, you're
Versus,
dampening the damage pretty heavily, but at the same time, imagine you got two paladins on your team, or even two barbarians.
oh, huh?
Then, I mean, That could very well lead to damage becoming mostly trivial. Like if the rest of your party is all ranged attacks.
Picturing two barbarians fighting. Me smash, you smash. My turn smash, me turn smash. Hilarious.
Now, imagine one of the barbarians. Well, just to kind of have a little fun with this, the two barbarians, one of them, me smash, and then the other one just says, oh my, it seems if my compatriot is to smash. I think I must agree with him forthwith.
Oh, it sounds like a good start of a joke. Two barbarians walk into an encounter.
It sounds like it's a good start to a bad joke, actually.
Two barbarians, one axe? Question mark.
Gross. 2005 internet must hate you.
Oh, it probably does. All right, what's next on the list, Mike?
Next up is a magical item, the cartographer's compass.
All right.
That is a rare, wondrous item. While holding it, you always know true north. You cannot become magically lost. Difficult terrain caused by natural environments costs you no extra movement. And once per day, you may ask, what is the safest path? The compass magically points towards the least dangerous route for 1 hour. Once per day.
That sounds vaguely familiar, though.
A bit like the compass from Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, you're right. But there's a feat, I want to say already that
I think guidance will.
not guidance.
It's not guidance.
No. And it may not even be it might be an original 5e feat and not. Let me look real quick because I am curious. We folks are dissecting all of these homebrew items here before we go talk about the stupid ones. And we just want to make sure they're up to snuff. So we're kind of rolling initiative on all these items, aren't we, Mike?
A little bit.
I know we didn't do the fun little sound effect for rolling initiative, folks, but we'll get over it. And I can't find it now, but there was one that was, I swear it was a feat that let you always know true north and you couldn't get lost or something like that. And I always thought to myself,
there is a ranger class, something or other. I think it's just a feat where you always know where you need to go direction wise. I'm not totally sure.
maybe.
I haven't played a ranger in a dog's age.
Well, I was unimpressed with the ranger when I played it. So I was bored with, I can fire an arrow again. I can fire an arrow again, and I can maybe cast a cantrip. And then, and then another.
Look at Travis's ranger in my game.
Well, that was the game that I'm referring to. And then another ranger walked in with way better stats and never seemed to miss and could do, was dealing a lot more damage. And I felt like my ranger got outshadowed.
Well, to be fair, I think that was just your bad luck on the dice.
Well,
that did seem to roll very low a lot of times.
Sariana couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with her arrow, and she was supposed to be what'd she call it? A crack shot, as she referred to herself, and that was the nail in the coffin, folks. Never refer to yourself as a crack shot in D&D because you will roll below a 10 every roll for the next 3 sessions.
Yeah, don't gas yourself up too much on your backstory. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. So, okay, well, we'll give that a wyvern tier for. We'll give that a wyvern tier. I can live with that.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, next up is a roguish archetype, so a rogue subclass, the Relic Hunter.
Okay.
A very Indiana Jones style rogue. This one isn't as organized as the Vanguard Warrior subclass that we spoke about a moment ago. It's a little more slapdash as far as how it was put together by the poster. Username. Oh shit, we gotta find it. Username Tricky Dixon.
It checks out. All right, let's hear it.
It does. All right. Indiana Jones style rogue. Feature includes identifying magic items during a short rest, disable magical traps as a bonus action, gain sneak attack against constructs, Once per long rest, swap one attuned magic item with another during a short rest. Focuses on exploration rather than pure damage.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, you'd still have the sneak attack utility, and you'd still have other roguish sort of tendencies that you would pick up from your first 3 levels. But taking the subclass, I feel could add to a story heavy campaign.
Well, let's just look at this real quick. All right. So does it have class features or subclass features done by level?
No,
Okay, so let's
this is one I found on on D&D homebrew subreddit. It was just highly voted, and a lot of comments were on it. I didn't delve too deep into it, to
okay.
be perfectly honest, but
All right. Well, let's look.
I didn't delve too deep into the Explorer.
All right. So a rogue, without picking a subclass, gets expertise. So they get 2 skill proficiencies at level 1. They get sneak attack at level 1. They get thieves' cant at level 1. They get a weapon mastery at level 1. So
They're pretty stacked at level 1.
they get some interesting stuff. Yeah. Now they're not stacked on hit die.
No,
Uh,
you're right.
and their sneak attack isn't really much, a d6, but it's something. But then at level 2, they get cunning action, which is what your warrior class took away, to be
Yeah,
able
kind
to
of.
bonus dash disengage or hide as a bonus action. Which cunning action, when used correctly, folks, is just a cream of the crop ability. Like,
The cream of the crop rises to the top.
if you fire fire a bow, move, and hide for your bonus action, they will never find you. And that's how
Yeah.
goblins kill parties. It's amazing. So at level 3, they get their subclass. Well, we don't care about that right now. So they get steady aim, and that gives yourself advantage if you do not move. So that's great. If you're not moving,
Yeah.
you got, that's good ranged attack.
I love me some steady aim.
Then we got level 4, you get ability score improvements or a feat, which is great. 5, they get cunning strike. So when they deal sneak attack damage, they can add one of the following cunning strike effects. So we got poison, trip, withdrawal. So immediately after your attack, you move half your speed without provoking the attack of opportunity. You can trip. It costs 1d6, it says. So you remove a sneak attack die from your die pool, and then you can add one of these status effects. Cool. Okay. Uncanny dodge at level 5.
Love me some uncanny dodge, dude.
And you got evasion, reliable talent, improved cunning strike, devious strike, which is you get 2 new abilities into your cunning strike: knockout, daze. And those are powerful. Obscure, slippery mind. Your cunning mind is exceptionally difficult to control, and you gain proficiency in wisdom and charisma saves. Elusive at level 18. Attackers can rarely gain the upper hand. No attack roll can have advantage against you unless you're incapacitated. That's wild.
Yes, it is.
Epic.
Rogues are overpowered from start to finish.
They get epic boon. Like everybody gets an epic boon at level 19 and 5.5. And level 20, stroke of luck. You have a marvelous knack for succeeding. If you fail a d20 test, you can turn the roll into a 20. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again for a short or long rest. So once an hour, basically, if you have the ability to short rest, you can turn any d20 test, which is by definition is an ability check, an attack roll, a saving throw. You could turn it into a straight 20.
Yeah.
So there's your crit, automatic crit once per short rest. I mean, rogues are awesome. So
Yes, they are. Why do you think I play them so much? I like rogues.
so without adding any subclass in, having an explorer one, even if it didn't give you any extra damage, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Uh,
without knowing more details on the subclass, I mean, I would probably rate that wyvern tier already.
yeah. Yeah. It's pretty high up there. I would say it's bordering on dragon tier just from the utility alone of just giving you more to role play with as opposed to just more combat stuff.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. And what did you say the level 20 skill was called?
A stroke of luck, I think it
When you
was.
give a leprechaun a hand job.
I shouldn't have been drinking. I've got my 7 brew sitting right next to me, folks. I've been sipping on, and I just about spit it all over my keyboard. All right, Mike, what's next?
Sorry, I need to recover.
Oh, Lord.
I hate myself sometimes.
God forgive us for our podcast. Oh,
Okay, moving on. The next one is a spell called Gravity Well.
oh, I like it already.
You create a 15-foot radius. Fourth level transmutation. Create a 15-foot radius sphere. Whenever a creature starts its turn inside, they need to make a strength save. On failure, their speed is halved and they are pulled 10 feet towards the center. Flying creatures descend safely. No damage, just pure battlefield control.
Ooh, that is awesome.
Yep,
That
I love it.
that sounds like it's straight pulled out of one of my favorite Mega Man games. Mega Man X3 has got a gravity ability that if you shoot out, it pulls stuff towards it and deals damage. And I could see there's actually a gravity mage subclass that was, I think, a critical role subclass.
Yeah.
So he did a time mage and a gravity mage, I think. And both are really interesting, neat subclasses.
Never played Mega Man past X1, I think it was.
Oh, brilliant series. But that's
The
for
one with Chill Penguin and Flame Mandrill.
X1.
Yeah.
Classic game, great. And it becomes an even better game in X2 when you can air dash. Then the mechanics really shine in that game. Oh, it's
Yeah.
wonderful. And X3 is much more difficult and more in depth. And then X4 goes to the PlayStation and starts getting really weird, I think. Flame me if you want internet. I don't care. All right, what's next on the homebrew list?
Aren't you forgetting something?
What's that?
What tier is that one?
Oh, ooh, I would say a dragon tier. I think
Yeah.
that the battlefield control potential for that is awesome.
Yes,
Um, I,
indeed.
I think it's almost missing something that if they sit inside the middle of that gravity well for longer than a turn, or if they start their turn inside of it, that 15-foot radius, I think they should take damage.
I don't. I like it purely as control as opposed to being any kind of damaging attack.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, adding damage to it doesn't necessarily hurt it, just it takes the spirit away, if
Well,
you will.
being a 4th level spell, I would expect there to be a big payoff because here's the deal here. Let's see.
Granted, it's not concentration, so if you just lay one down, then you can start throwing magic missiles into it. There you go.
Here's the spell list, though. I mean, if we're talking about 4th level spells, banishment, we're talking, so it's got to compete with banishment. It's got to compete with the confusion spell. It's got to compete with dimension door and its abilities. Let's see, what else do we got here? Fire shield. That's quite a bit of beef there. We're ice storm. We're talking about lots of ice damage.
Yes. Now, all the damaging
Polymorph.
spells are out of the way.
You're right, but wall of fire. That's why I'm like, okay, does this spell really stack up to 4th level? Because we've got some intense spells now that your spell slot is competing for. And like summon greater demon is a 4th level spell. If you're competing, that spell slot is competing with all of these, then like I feel like it should do a little bit more than just here, look at this though. Let's see what this spell is. There's actually a spell called Gravity Sinkhole, and it is a 20-foot radius sphere of crushing force forms at a point in which you can see within range and tugs at the creatures there. Each creature in the sphere must make a con save. On a failed save, they take 5d10 force damage and are pulled in a straight line towards the center of the sphere, ending in an unoccupied space as close to the center as possible, even if that space is in the air. On a successful save, they take half. That is a 4th level evocation spare, and it was in the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount.
Oh, now imagine if you stack those.
There'd be no point in stacking because
Well, the
now you've got
gravity well that I presented to you, plus the one that you were just talking about, put them together, your opponent can't leave it and they constantly get hit with damage. Like, if you stack the gravity effect on both of them, they can basically not move.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. You're talking
Yeah,
about it pulling them in and then do it. See, I think that your gravity ability should be more like a second level spell, and
potentially.
it gives control and some forced movement, but it doesn't do any damage. And then now you've got a fourth level spell that does a shitload of damage.
Yeah, it's
Although,
a positively stupid amount of damage.
well,
I'm
we're
not going to
talking
lie.
about Wild Mount here. If you notice something about a lot of Matt Mercer stuff, it's either wildly underpowered or wildly overpowered. And
Yeah,
again, internet,
yeah.
blame me for it if you want. I'm not a huge fan of some of his work some of his content created. I'd love to learn Daggerheart just to see what it's like.
Same
But
here.
some of the stuff I've seen come out, like the Time Mage is really overpowered. It's fun, but it's overpowered. And apparently the gravity one is too, because I mean, shit, 5d10. And then every spell level, the spell slot you use above is freaking 1d10 more. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah, it is.
I could save for half, and you're fighting high level shit that's got 100 hit points. That's only 24 damage at max. So, all right, what's next, Mike?
All right. We gave it Dragon Tier, both of us. Do you think that's going to stick?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be a lower level spell, but I definitely think the spell was well written.
All right. Perfect. Okay. Next up, we've got another weapon,
All
the
right.
Storm Call Spear.
Okay.
It is a +1 weapon. Whenever you throw it, it immediately returns after the attack. Fairly standard. But if thrown at least 20 feet, lightning arcs to another creature within 10 feet for 1d6 lightning damage.
Ooh.
And, and once per day, if you throw it into the ground, you create a thunderous shock wave, doing a thunder wave centered on the spear itself.
Neat.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I feel like use with that arcing lightning damage to another creature, just kind of a chain lightning sort of effect. I think that would have a good amount of utility for an early game character.
I think so. I don't think that's a
Yeah.
bad idea.
I mean, I feel like it would be overshadowed by some other pretty standard magical items mid game, but early game, that seems like a pretty good weapon.
Okay. Okay. So let me clue you in on. I'll give you some ideas here of what I've actually made and used. We'll go over some of the ones I've used in Alduin. I think that weapon that you gave definitely a Wyvern tier, well thought out magical item.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Oh, by the way, Reddit user Stumps1102.
oh, good for you, Stumps. I'll take it. So I created something called the Storm Maul. It was a +2 maul, and it was called the Storm. And it was wielded originally by a Stonekin or Goliath, depending on how you want to look at it. And it has 4 charges, or actually, no, it can use 4 charges. I think it comes with 8 total charges, and it can only be recharged by being struck by lightning. So, great thing to have on a warrior barbarian that is working close with a druid who can call lightning, because that call lightning could easily recharge this item. But it can do something called a shocking strike. So it would add 3d8 thunder damage to a successful attack roll. So when they hit, it gives them a good zap. And that was 4 charges of the 8. So half the charges, boom, done. Ground strike, 4 charges. Striking the ground with the maul casts the thunder wave spell. So when they'd hit the ground, they could release the force and knock stuff back and cast thunder wave. And then if they wanted to just consume all 8 charges all at once that the maul had, they can hold the maul to the air, bringing doom upon your enemy, casting the call lightning spell on a single target. So very Thor, only in a giant maul rather than a tiny maul or a tiny
Yeah.
hammer, but definitely useful. I had a paladin who actually had this thing, and he used the hell out of it, especially with the druid, who every so often would cast Call Lightning and then just be like, "Oh, hey, hold your maul up real quick." Charged. So that was a neat one. Let's see. What else did we do? What do you rate that one, Mike? I'll let you rate these.
I would give that one a Wyvern tier myself. Good utility, but I mean, it would lack a lot of punch in the later game.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely I think he acquired that at third level and was still using it by fifth level, but just with lesser effect.
Yeah.
Amulet of Luck.
Hey.
Which I'm not 100% sure this isn't already a magical item, but if it is, cool. Once per day as a bonus action, the player wearing the character wearing the amulet can rub the stone and gain advantage on their next skill check or attack roll.
Hey. All right.
Simple, effective. I put that on what looked like a Magic the Gathering card and combined it with a quote from Talon Card from Star Wars that said, "I found what most people call luck is often little more than raw talent combined with the ability to make the most of opportunities." Which I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and you said once per turn, right?
Once per day.
Ah, okay. Okay. I was going to say, if it was once per turn, that's way overpowered.
Oh hell no! I definitely would not let that slide. All
Yeah.
right, so this item was a joint effort between myself and Jeremy, who was playing D&D with us, who is a very intelligent man. We called this the Ring of Soul Storing, and it was a ring that he used to store the soul of a couple souls that we encountered when we ran in a one shot of his. And two of the players carry these rings out with them. So this ring contains a soul and has an AC of 19 and 3 hit points. It is immune to all damage except when dealt by a Hellfire, Infernal, or other comparable weapon. It can also be destroyed by casting a spell that removes the curse on it. When destroyed, the soul is freed to its afterlife. Now, its uses. As an action, you can cause the ring to become invisible on your finger until you use another action to make it visible. Remove the ring, or you die. So it's invisible until you take it off, you die, or you tell it you don't want it to be invisible anymore. While the ring is visible, the wearer and stored soul can telepathically communicate with each other. The soul stored in the ring can be exploited in multiple ways. When exploited, the ring briefly flares with a pale green fire. Roll a d10. On a roll of 1, the soul and the ring are both immediately destroyed. So that's some consequences there.
Yeah.
The exploit abilities. Steal life. As a bonus action, you can drain vitality from the soul and regain 2d8 hit points. Harness power. You may harness the soul's essence and bolster a single roll when making an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. As a reaction, you make this roll with advantage.
Mhm.
Command. As an action, you can compel the soul to answer any question truthfully. This effect lasts for 1 minute. The soul must respond to any question, and the response must be truthful but may be cryptic. But anytime you use one, you got to roll a d10. If you roll a 1, goodbye ring, goodbye soul. You just evacuated.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Yeah. So we never talked about how you could store the soul in the ring, but who knows?
Yeah.
That's for you to decide. DM, where do you rate that one, Mike?
I would give that goblin tier just simply for the fact that one bad roll and the magic item's gone forever. Come on.
Well, it also had great power though, too, with it.
I mean, sure, it had great power, so that is a kind of balance, but at the same time, I mean, just have it kind of rebound on the user instead of the magic item just disappearing, you know?
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Next item is a wondrous item called Saphira's Embrace. And Saphira is one of the deities in my campaign World of Alduin. The wearer,
Also, a callback to Aragon, that terrible ass movie based on a decidedly awesome book that was written by an 18-year-old. However, his wording and writing made me believe he was an 18-year-old.
what's funny is I came up with that name completely on my own, never having paid any attention to any names in that book.
Yeah.
So unrelated. Anyway, wondrous item. The wearer is gifted with the wisdom of Saphira. Wearer gains advantage on wisdom saving throws. Wearer is granted the benefit of the keen mind feat. So you get a free feat, keen mind, and the advantage on all wisdom saves while wearing this item, which is interesting.
I
Definitely,
don't hate that.
definitely not a giveaway freely, but that's why it's wondrous. It's very rare.
Yeah.
So don't hate it, huh? I'll take it.
No. I'll give that a Wyvern tear myself.
This next one, actually, you had on one of your characters.
Did I?
Yes, your character, I don't believe, lasted very long, but you did have
Uh-oh.
the Platinum Wrist. This is
Okay. Yeah.
a gauntlet that, when called forth, would magically expand the plates around the wrist to form an energy shield that kind of link the plates together. It's a wondrous item that requires attunement. At will, this bracer emits a blue energy field in a roughly 18-inch diameter, acting as a +1 shield. The bracer is powered by a gem of at least 50 gold pieces in value. As a reaction, the wearer can cast the shield spell. The gem is destroyed, though, and must be replaced to use this item again. So you power it with a shield, and it becomes a +1 shield, basically, that you can wear on your wrist that you can use at any point. However, you get a free shield spell out of it before the item becomes broken and useless.
Yeah.
Then you just have to replace the gem in the middle.
I mean, if memory serves, I was in, I think, 4 sessions of that particular campaign. Never once used the shield spell because of that.
So we're going to cover one more of my homebrew here. And this one
Fantastic.
was terrible and had lots of unintended consequences that I discovered after the fact. And it was pretty awful. So this was called the Quantum Hourglass. And I believe one of your characters also had this item. When the item is placed on a flat surface and the words are uttered correctly, you can flip the hourglass and all time stops outside a 5-foot radius of the hourglass for 30 seconds as the sand pours down. The user cannot move the hourglass once it's placed down or the effect ends. Any object that leaves the sphere is immediately destroyed, including the user or users should they leave the sphere. Using the sphere's magic causes 1 level of exhaustion to that user, who must take a short rest to recover. Now, I believe the original version of this item did not have the caveat that any object that leaves the sphere was destroyed. It was that it just stops. And your character exploited this, Mike. You want to tell him how?
Yeah. Okay. So when he read the power word, it stopped time in a small area surrounding him.
Mm-hmm.
As such, he drew his bow, and in that short period of time, I think, what was it, 30 seconds?
Yep.
So 5 rounds.
Yep.
He shot 5 arrows in that 5-round space of time, and they all were stuck in the time bubble, so they didn't move after they left his person. And then when the spell ended, they all flew at the same time at the same target.
Yes, that, ladies and gentlemen, is an unintended consequence that I was dumb enough to not think of being something that was going to happen. So,
And a rare moment of me being smart.
and yes, Mike was
But
very,
honestly, though, I was very cinematic and I felt seen.
he did. It was actually, I mean, it was pretty cool. He did it, and I felt bad that I was like, okay, I'm going to have to nerf this. But it was a fun learning experience. So, it's just a rule that homebrew can go wrong, folks, and it's okay. It's okay if it goes wrong. You learn from it and you move on. So while we're talking about going wrong, I've got a few posts that I've got pulled up, and I have not actually read these. I'm going to read these off completely live as I go so we can give honest reactions. This post on Reddit was 2 years ago in the RPG subreddit. What is the worst or best homebrew you've seen in an RPG? I'm only going to look for the worst. The worst house rule I've seen was an auto suicide when rolling consecutive ones on attack roll in Pathfinder. Once the GM pulled that one out in the middle of the campaign, the marshals quickly retired in favor of spellcasters. So only the enemies would ever decapitate themselves.
Well,
That's pretty.
this is kind of a callback to Gen 1 Pokemon. It hurt itself in its confusion. When we were all kids, we thought that mean it punched itself. But no, it just got hurt because it was so confused that it did something that led to it being hurt. Either way, same idea. Like three crits as an insta kill as a rule is kind of classic, but like three nat ones leading to an automatic player death seems a little extreme. However, turnabout is fair play.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, like, say they trip, they fall, they land on their knife, they trip and fall as a nat one. Second nat one, they fall onto their own blade. The third nat one, the blade pierces their heart and they die.
Oh, that's so
I
stupid.
mean, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's happened more than once in history.
Yeah, but come on, it's a game, folks. Give them a break. All right, next, one of the worst homebrew mechanics was in a completely homebrew system in my youth. All spells were put in a box on paper snippets. On level
Oh
up,
no.
you blindly pulled one snippet out and hoped the spell was for your class. Most of the time, it wasn't. Oh, dear God, that's so stupid.
I know how to cast this spell, but I'm not a ranger, so I can't.
Yeah.
Then why learn it?
The worst homebrew item I had ever run across was in an old game of second edition AD&D. A friend of mine ran. He put in a suit of armor, and each piece of it had a different spell imbued. The gauntlets could cast chain lightning. The bracers had haste. The chest plate had stone skin. Boots jump or spider climb. Like the whole thing was just an insanely OP item that he put together. And so his NPC would be unbeatable. Oh, well, I think we've all had those little things.
I can counter that with a couple of things, actually.
Oh, yeah? Let's hear.
Yeah. Upcast immovable object on the chest plate, so it is permanently affixed there. You can't even take it apart to get out of it. And then heat metal.
I think, I'm not sure you can cast heat metal on a magical piece of equipment, but maybe if you can, I think just heat metal.
I mean, if it's made of metal, it makes sense.
This is another one here from 4 years ago, posted by Monkey King 797. What are some of the worst homebrews you've ever heard? The Red Ranger 8 says, saw someone here not yet a month ago who wanted to give players a turn timer based on your initiative score that started at 6 seconds for a modifier of 0. He had exactly the amount of stubbornness in the comments that you'd expect. So let me get this straight. They had a turn timer on their character that was based on their intelligence score modifier. So they had 6 seconds plus whatever their intelligence score on their character was to decide what they're going to do on their turn. That is like the worst and most insanely funny idea I've ever heard. Because what's the worst thing at the table is waiting for somebody to decide what they're going to do on their turn. Oh my God. Can you imagine, Mike, if you only had 8 seconds or even just 6 seconds, or if you had a dumb character who had a negative, you had 5 seconds to decide what you're going to do on your turn?
That's terrible.
This other guy below it, the comment, I admit I do own a 3-minute hourglass I call the Turnminator. And that had to happen because one of my guys would get super tactical and take turns that were upwards of 15 to 20 minutes. Oh my God.
Christ.
That is
Immediate ejection from my table, let me tell
no
you.
kidding. My DM made a magical item that not only doubles all lightning damage dealt, but also allows you to cast lightning bolt spell as a bonus action without any restrictions. Oh my God.
That is not a bad homebrew, just horribly overpowered and
I don't know if it
extremely
counts.
unbalanced.
This guy's name is Quan Wick. I don't know if it counts.
One wick.
Yeah, I love Reddit names. The DM who I played with for all of 5 minutes ruled that any action that wasn't walking broke invisibility. I was explaining to the party that I met or that I met 2 minutes prior that if they needed me to scout, I could put on the spell invisibility. Conversation went like this. Me, I cast invisibility, so if we need to scout, we should be fine. Yeah, but if you do anything, it'll break the spell. Well, yeah, but I can still open this door and nope, you do anything like that and you'll decloak in the middle of an orc camp.
Yikes.
Yeah, I'd be out of that game too. Next, healing potions require a con save since in my world they take a whisper of your soul to make. So there's a chance that you turn into a powerful creature since only those can still make healing potions. What?
It's pretty poorly worded, and I'm not sure I can make heads or tails of it.
I think they said you had to take a con save anytime you drink a healing potion, or else you may absorb some of the soul of whoever made that healing potion. That's retarded.
A little bit, yes.
Edited. That's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
A moon elf race that on a full moon gets double their intelligence score. Score, not
Ooh,
modifier.
That's a bit much.
Ooh, you imagine you had an 18 intelligence and now you're like all of a sudden
36 intelligence just because it's a full moon.
smarter than God.
Yeah. Smarter than most of
and
the
gain
end
advantage.
game creatures.
And gain advantage on all dex-based attacks, checks, and saves. Whew.
And somebody has got a thing for moon elves, let me tell you.
Apparently, and my world all revolves around the lunar cycles and all that crap, and I don't care that much. I have a lunar elf in my world. They don't get bonuses. They're basically just a reskinned drow, only not evil. Anyway, a ranger subclass that uses a gun.
That's already a thing.
Even if he misses his shot, he still does half damage because it passes by so close. Okay, that's
that's pushing it.
A fighter subclass I wrote a while ago in combat gains points by mixing ranged and melee attacks, so it can spend this point on maneuvers. Similar to a battle master, you lose all points when you exit combat, so it's like a momentum-based subclass. Yeah, I never got around to actually using any of the maneuvers effectively because combat ended too quickly or the maneuvers were straight up useless unless certain
pretty much
cases were meant.
Yeah, but you say combining ranged and melee attacks. I'm just imagining a ranger shooting an arrow with a boxing glove on the end of it.
I played in a world where one of my players created who was an anime fan, but not one I thought would be considered a weeb or neat, whatever that means. However, once the game started, the world was introduced as a post-calamity world run by a group of 7 demon lords who each ruled over a section of the ruined land. When we fought our way up a giant tree, we discovered that the demon lords were all lowlies in skimped outfits described in excruciating detail. He played from a soundboard when she was injured, and I'm 1000% positive it was cribbed from hentai.
See, I know exactly what you mean. It's lolly, not lowly. And that means an anime girl of dubious age, possibly underage.
I gathered from the contents.
Yeah.
Most animes love to make sexualize young girls. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like anime that much.
Yeah, kind of. She looks like she's 10, but she's actually a 400-year-old vampire.
Oh, yes. That sounds to me like
that does not make a damn lick of difference. You're disgusting. Get away from me.
Yeah. See, that's unfortunately a theme that is too much played out in anime and, the internet, but fuck off.
And on the inverse, they have a tendency to make their 16-year-olds have tits the size of Volkswagens. So
how could they not have back problems?
And only makes sense.
So this last post I'm going to read here before we wrap this puppy up today. This post was made by a guy named Valzy 1993. He posted a year ago, and it says, "I'm kind of getting tired of D&D homebrew. Yeah, I need to vent a bit, and we'll get downvoted probably. I've been looking for a campaign for a year now, and so far each table is riddled with some weird homebrew BS. special tables for infliction, homebrew items with +3 and 5d6 free damage, GMs balancing combat based on them, homebrew monsters with 200 hit points in a room with 5 of them, players abusing rules, parties made out of 4 furries and me just wanting to be a half-orc, GMs just making a dungeon with 60 monsters, 50 hit points each, GMs having a thing for dismemberment. I'm so tired of them. I don't want to hop from server to server, but it seems like whenever campaigns actually start playing seriously, GM is trying to reinvent the wheel, ends up being weird, and players pop up with some weird homebrew stuff that breaks campaigns apart. I'm already like 6 or 7 groups in for the year or more, and the amount of people just wanting to abuse the system and GMs not sticking to what they said at session 0 is staggering. The feeling of my last campaign feels like a lightning in a bottle sometimes, and I can't find it anywhere else. Everything clicked. We had some homebrew like an item or location. Sure, we had some disagreements, but it felt like we played as a team, not indulging someone's power fantasy or weird shit they're into. Might be going on a bit of a rant, man, but just tired. I just want some basic vanilla heroic D&D with no flying Kenku, paladin, warlocks, or +5 weapons. I'm with you, bro. I feel some of those arguments. Now, I have one problem with one of your lines there, the special affliction table. Fuck you, buddy. But I get where he's coming from.
Kinda, yeah.
Low
Kinda,
effort
yeah.
DMs, lots of people just playing out power fantasies. Dungeons and Dragons, as I've said many times in many episodes, is a kitchen sink game where they literally try to fit everything into it. And Dungeon Masters, your world shouldn't be like that. You don't have to accommodate every single race or species you want your players want to play. You don't have to say yes to everything. It's okay. Set your ground rules, tell it in session 0, and then stick with it. You know your world's lore if you're homebrewing. Don't let them make stuff outside the lore of the world unless it actually works and makes sense. It's fine. So, on that note, and why I said fuck you on your line about special table for affliction, I want to tease something to you listeners because
We want to tease something,
Yes.
listeners.
Yes. Mike had an interesting idea that he brought to my attention. I was already talking to him about the my desire to introduce some kind of affliction magic into D&D more, because honestly, the curses and hexes that D&D has right now are really lackluster. Don't you agree?
Yes, and not numerous enough to really make any kind of real impact.
No, I mean, every mage wants to cast fireball, and every priest wants to, be a healer or bring down the wrath of God on somebody. But there's something to be said about a battlefield control specialist that introduces small hits that, when stacking, end up becoming greater threats. So that's where we're going to introduce to you listeners the Harbinger class. Now, today I'm only going to share with you the core traits and just a little snippet of the first few paragraphs, but we're going to drip feed you folks interesting bits of this class as we go across the season. And by season's end, I hope you will actually be able to find this class published on Drive-Thru RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Harbinger class. Now, believe it or not, folks, while this class is an affliction specialist, they are actually a martial class. The primary ability is wisdom. They will run a D10 hit point. So they will roll a D10 hit die because these are frontline fighters. They are not stand in the back row slinging spells. Their saving throw proficiencies are wisdom and dexterity, because if you're going to be a frontline fighter, you need to be quick. These aren't brutes, folks. Skill proficiencies, they can choose too, from acrobatics, arcana, athletics, insight, perception, religion, stealth, or survival. Weapon proficiencies, simple and martial, because these guys are bringing about, you'll see in the description. Armor training, light or medium, and shields. No heavy armor, folks. These guys are built for speed, and you'll see why. Starting equipment, choose A, B, or C. leather armor, ceremonial dagger, 8 throwing knives, adventurer's pack, and 20 gold pieces. Or B, chain shirt, great sword, adventurer pack, 5 gold pieces. Or maybe 100 gold pieces for option C. I've never been a big fan of the selections of starting equipment. I think it should be a little bit more up to the players within reason. So, take that for what it is.
Now, me personally, I like taking a base starting package and then during session 0, give you an opportunity to shop a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
give you a little extra things. I always go for the adventuring pack because it contains pittance, and pittance allow for easy climbing on walls.
For sure. All right. So I'm going to read you folks the introduction paragraphs to the Harbinger class.
Are you sure you want to do that this episode?
I
Said you were
do.
going to drip feed. Feels like you're cup feeding.
I'm definitely drip feeding. Belonging to orders of long forgotten, or how is that? Belonging to orders long forgotten, the Harbinger class is a restorer of the delicate balance between those who deserve life and those seeking to control the strings of destiny. Bending the aether to harness the catalysts of death while also being able to convert it to life-giving essence, the Harbinger is an attrition fighter, able to inflict escalating damage over time while using his opponent's vitality to replenish his own. The art of affliction magic harnessed by the Harbinger isn't like that of a wizard or priest. It must be initiated with blood. The Harbinger must master the use of various weapons and stand toe to toe with his opponents to inflict the most dangerous abilities. That, folks, is where I will leave it for you. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Harbinger next week.
That we shall.
All right. Mike, do you have any good closing statements, any fun stories, good info?
Well, actually, amid talking during this particular episode, you kind of inspired me. So I found a list of some of the funniest Reddit names.
All right. Read me off a few.
I had to mute my mic a few times during recording here so you didn't hear me giggle. But excuse me, starting at the top, ugly pervert.
Checks out.
You can't kill the Pope.
Oh, he's probably been investigated by the FBI.
Possibly. Queef Richards.
Okay, 2 more.
No, I need to do more than just 2. It's going to stretch a little bit, but I'm going to throw out a few more. 500 cats typing stuff. Half man, half radish. Haha, you read my name.
That's good.
A fearless farter.
Always be a fearless farter.
Piss aficionado.
Gross.
Times New Roman. Can't beat the classics. JFKFC. Bread Pitt. And Obi-Wan Cannoli.
Oh, God.
Definitely not a toad.
Are you sure about that? I'm suspect.
Gushing Grannies.
Gross.
Beige supremacist.
Okay, one more.
Gandalf.
What?
Walmart Gandalf. Balls deep in soup.
Oh my God, no more.
Granny Puncher 69 and Yeast Detective. One more that I missed. Titty Archaeologist.
All right, Reddit.
Jesus Christ.
You have made me smile for the day. Folks, follow us on Facebook, Arguing with Dragons. Facebook.com/Arguing with Dragons. Look out for our link tree. You can get us on TikTok and follow our little short videos I post every so often. And if you want to just reach out with a more personal touch, arguingwithdragons@gmail.com. We are accessible all over the internet, folks. Write us in, tell us how we're doing. And, hey, if you want to be a guest on the show, hey, pitch yourself. I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So my name is Tyson.
And I'm Mike.
Signing off. Have a good night, folks.
May the wind always be at your back.
especially when you fart.
Ugh.